Hey, welcome back, Rebels. So, some fun things happening in the market, and I wanted to make a video. We have some teachable moments that I want to address. So yeah, things are looking exciting, but I want just teachable moments. So let's just dive in real quick. Last time when I did our weekly update, we were kind of in this zone, ready for a breakout, and what I had said that I had done is I actually de-risk my leverage positions and I got out because, as I had mentioned, we had this low volume situation. So a little bit dicey doesn't mean that the markets can't rally. It just means that uh, much like in the past, those rallies, I mean, Bitcoin has rallied in this descending wedge and in this downtrend, but they're not sustainable, right? Because there just hasn't been the volume there to push it up. So that kind of showcases that, right? So yeah, sure, we have rallies, but they're not long-lived because you don't have the volume in the market. So even though we looked prime for a breakout and there were so many bottoming signals, I mean, pick your poison. I mean, we had the M2, the M2 had bottomed and looks like that's going up over the next couple months. The ISM, we're just right below 50, so we're still in contraction. We haven't even had um, our business cycle yet, really. And anyway, max fear in the market, so many different metrics, and the VIX also marking a pretty good capitulation. So anyway, had a lot of things lining up for a potential structural bottom. That this would be a structural bottom. But how do you navigate that? So he's like, okay, you're in a low volume environment. You're not going to don't necessarily trust the rallies. How can I be wrong and still make money, right? So what did I do? I got out of my positions. And what I ended up doing was placing some orders above the market in case in case we did see the market take off. So basically what I had done is I had placed an order here and on a break of this because of what I wanted to do. I mean, we were probably down in here somewhere. Um, if this broke to the downside, I didn't really want to be in it and maybe I can get lower prices. Maybe we form a I mean, we could go lower as well. I mean, that also happens. That's something we're going to have to keep an eye on. In fact, I have something to show you a little later. However, so I wanted to get out of the market, but also I want to be with the market if the market is going to go up. And maybe I want to capture some of this potential rally because what I was really worried about was it going hard the other way, which is also totally possible. So what I have done is on a few charts that look interesting to me, I place orders above this swing here uh, to enter a long position, and that happened in a couple different charts. I think this one, I don't think this is accurate. I think I actually entered this one on a break of this swing. Same here, entered on the break of this swing to capture this move. So we'll, you know, basically a continuation, right? So, if I zoom out, I can hold this position really as long as I want to all-time highs. Maybe I'll take some profits around here. You don't have to get too crazy, but and what did I have? I think I had one more entry as well that I'll show you if my internet will cooperate. Yeah, and I talked about Cetus as well on this last video, kind of having a reverse head and shoulders pattern coming up. And so I basically just set an order at this level. So if we break to the upside, I'm in the market. Um, and so, yeah, anyway, so now and my stop losses are basically still in a place where I feel like if it breaks down from there, I was wrong and we're probably going a little bit lower. And maybe we haven't found that structural bottom yet. Um, so I wanted to be protected in that way. So again, am I aping into the market? No, but I did set a few orders above the market. That way, if it did look take off, because everything looked primed to take off. We had this descending wedge pattern in Bitcoin, and it was right here. It just looked poised. It looked like max fear was done. We had major capitulation. Whales were buying that whole time. There's on-chain metrics that basically show people that hold large amounts of Bitcoin, what were they doing during this period? And you can see that happening live. So during these moments here, you see a reduction in positions, and then in areas like this, you see an increase in positions. So what were the people who hold massive amounts of Bitcoin doing while everybody was afraid, well, they were actually accumulating. So those are telltale signs that this is accumulation, not distribution. A lot of signs pointing to the upside. So anyway, teachable moment. I didn't want to get caught on the wrong side of this thing. And so I got out of the market and then set some orders just above. That way, if we had a break of those, basically, because when you have a break of those tops, it forms a higher high, and that's the structure of an uptrend: higher highs, higher lows. So when you make that higher high, you're just going with the trend. Instead of buying the dip, buy low, sell high, you're buying high, selling higher. That's something that Gann talks about as well. And something of note here that I really like to see is that we're above, and I think I mentioned this too, where I mean we had just broken out of here, but there was heavy resistance here and heavy resistance here. So I kind of said like I'm not really going to get too excited until we break above here, and so we'll have to see how this coming week plays out. Uh, this doesn't mean up forever, but what I did like to see is before. I had a line drawn here on the map. This is fourth time breakout to the downside. When we did that, usually what happens is when it does break that for the fourth time, it's a genuine move, and you can see that definitely was a genuine move. We hit our area that we had plotted out before, and had good buying here, nice buying volume here, um, signaling a potential reversal. And then we had the same thing on the upside, basically. We had one, two, three hits. And in fact, oh, you can't even see. It was, yeah, this is more on the 4 hour chart. More on the 4 hour chart, you can see this. But anyway, we had one, two, three hits, and then on the fourth one, broke out. So anyway, I like to see that. And I mean, I would love to see us hold above this level for this week and beyond. I mean, we can come down here, but it would be nice to at least see a weekly close above this zone is what I would really like to do. So basically, how did I play that? Like I said, got out of my positions, set some orders above the market to hit it with the momentum. Now that that's happened, again, my stop losses are acting as my, if I'm wrong, then I get stopped out. So how am I playing that? I'm very confident that this is the low, but you always got to assume that you're wrong. Or what do you do in the case that you're wrong, right? So you can either you can lose your opinion or you can lose your money. And I don't really want to lose my money. So I'm willing to change my opinion if the market shows me something else. Right now we're seeing great signs of strength. And then this line actually here is our overbalance in time and price. That was something that I had also mentioned that I would really like to see is an overbalance in time and price. So we just hit that. The next criteria that we can have for a change in trend is a break of this 50% level. So I would have considered this to be the other criteria is a break of a major swing. I think this is a very major because this was a capitulation low during this time. Uh, and you can see how it's just been an area of interest. So anyway, I would consider this very significant. These tops very significant. So if we can get some higher lows above this zone right here, now we're cooking with gas. We can go in even more confidence. So I'm in the market. I'll probably post in the group. It's kind of crazy because it was a really quick flip flop, but you just see how it could have very quickly gone the other way, and we could have very quickly capitulated to the downside. In fact, if you look at the stock market, U.S. equities, um, I mean, we had a kind of a recovery today, but you can see that especially Monday, we had a really bad day in the Nasdaq and the S&P 500, which is kind of crazy. But I believe gold did extremely well. Um, yeah, and this is crazy too. One thing I'm pointing out since I have the chart, we do have a 3 day down signal here, which if I mean, I back tested this, typically can cause quite a pause in the trend. So yes, this was very exciting. Also, this swing is very overdone. We have more than 7 bars in one swing direction. So anyway, we'll see when you have 3 consecutive days of selling, pretty high selling here. It is kind of an early signal that some of the oomph might be out of the move. So we'll just have to play this one by ear too. The other thing that can happen is that gold can have pretty long pauses. Even while the S&P 500 is doing well, you may have 6 to 12 months of really not much action in gold while the S&P 500 goes up. But anyway, I digress. I wanted to hop on here and do a quick some quick teachable moments because I think it's just really valuable to just understand that you have to have your own plan. I wasn't willing to lose any money if the market went to the downside because I just that low volume kind of just was a huge warning sign. It's been the best leading indicator so far, and we will just have to see how this goes. You know, for if we want to get super granular and we want to zoom right in, one thing I will say that it's a positive note, and keep in mind this is a 7-day moving average, so there is a small lag, but I think that it's a really good representation. I mean, you don't need to get too damn granular. I think this is the 7-day moving average is just fine. You can see that we've flatlined here, and we zoom in even closer, just boop. Okay, we flatlined here, so we may have seen a bottom in exchange volume. This could be potentially the bottom of the exchange volume. So it's early days, but you can see, when we broke through these bottoms, we broke through in a pretty aggressive way, honestly. Like we broke down through these lows pretty aggressively, and we're just now seeing the signs of it bottoming, which, like I've said before, I really wanted to stay above these levels right here. So yeah, that's about it for me. I think I'm going to post some things in the group. These are different positions that got triggered because of a break to the upside, and this is Fartcoin. I absolutely love this. I mean, if I make money on Fartcoin, like I can't wait to tell. Can't look at me, mom. It's like what the hell. Anyhow, never a dull moment. We'll keep tracking this as we go, but so far it's looking like we might. I mean, this might be it. This might be the start of a breakout. So we'll have to pay attention. Um, I am going to leave you on this though, actually, because one thing I do want to mention, it's early days. It is early days, and this is messy. So let me clean this up. We so far it's early days, but so far we're looking like we have 3 green weeks to the upside, and I just want to. There was a couple places in here. Like so right here, 3 green weeks. This is different than the 3 up bar. So this also isn't my signal, by the way. I'm just full transparency. This is the Pizzino brothers. Michael, this is one of his signals. So yeah, full transparency there. It's not my signal, but anyhow, 3 green weeks. And you can see that prices did go lower there. And if we were to back test this a few more times, well, I'm just not going to go through this right now, but there's about 2 other times in this bull market where we did have a nice push to the upside, nice 3 green weeks, followed by a decline, and we did get lower prices, but not by much, and quickly recovered. So again, that is something that we also want to keep in mind. Yes, this is the first time in this entire run that we've had 3 green weeks. Let's just look at the data. That's happened before. 3 weeks. This happened right here. 3 green weeks, and yes, we got a pullback, didn't breach the lows, but there's a few times in this bull market that it has. So just let's keep that in mind, and let's not get too ahead of ourselves. We're neutral on the week on the weekly trend with Bitcoin. That's one of the things I had mentioned too, that I really like to see that. So maybe we get this 3 weeks, a nice little, maybe it slows down, a little pullback, and we get a higher low here, which would be actually really amazing. And once that higher low prints, we're in a weekly uptrend, which is amazing. And we really like to see that. And so we're really early days on that, and we're catching it quite early, as in my opinion. And I always try to keep these things short, but there's always so much going on in the markets that is really valuable to see. The final thoughts on volatility in a market. Let's just go to AOS. I think I got out of AOS. I think AOS triggered here, but I also saw this was kind of a weak. Anyway, this is just kind of weak. I don't necessarily like it. And I'm just going to find some other structural places uh, to get in with more confidence. Actually, yeah. So here's this resistance band. We're in this uptrend. I didn't want to get too granular. It's pretty, you know, to the downside. It's already 43% to there. So anyway, for me, long story short, looking for a better entry on AOS, which is an AI play, and to the upside. Maybe once we were holding above this support, if we were able to snag an entry close to that, to all-time times, that's a nice 225%. That's great. That's a 3x plus. But what I want to showcase here is volatility. Volatility is a pretty is more predictable than price actually, and you want to enter in a market when it's traditionally when it's lower volatility, as you can see. So, low volatility, very good time to be interested in the market. High volatility, it's like all-time high volatility, probably not a good time to get in the market. So that can be a major red flag for you. If you see this action and you're like, oh, this is great, but you're seeing that increased volatility, you just want to keep that in mind. Wait for things to flatline and become boring. Everybody thinks it's dead. And then you hop in when the train's empty. And then, as they say, the train leaves empty. So get on board when things are quiet. I think I went and marked a few of these charts. Yeah, see, nice low volatility. One thing that you can pay attention to that can be pretty predictive and a good sign is when you are kind of bottoming in volatility and you see an uptick in volatility as the prices go up, that go check that out on your charts. There's a few times, many places where you see that where the uptick in volatility, because up until then, you know, direction is unknown. The volatility can increase, but the direction could be to the downside. Volatility can increase, direction could be to the upside. So direction unknown until you kind of see these subtle signs of, oh, we have a break, an upside in volatility, after it kind of seems bottoming. You can see that that doesn't always work too, because over here, we're going up in price, but that was also pretty late in the move. So there's nuances there. But what I wanted to just showcase is if you go through these charts, we're entering on relatively low volatility, which is something that you want to do, especially if you're using leverage, because leverage can be a dangerous game. But like I've mentioned in the past, I just use leverage as a stop loss. If prices get below here, and sometimes you get stopped out and it keeps going higher. That's something to keep in mind too. But yeah, I will actually leave it there for today. Hopefully that was not too long-winded. And yeah, we'll just keep track. So things are looking exciting. Overbalancing time and price on Bitcoin, targeting some new highs. We will just see how this goes, and hopefully we can make a lot of money and make our mommies proud. Uh, accruing generational wealth with Fartcoin. Let's do this shit. All right, later, guys.